Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have been a little bit MIA this week and I do apologize for that. It has been incredibly busy, but it looks like things are slowing down a little bit. So I actually have time to come out here and film a garden update for you guys. And it's also really handy that the weather is finally cooperating. We have had so much rain here lately that we almost need a boat to get through the backyard. So let's go ahead and get started with this wild and crazy update. As usual, we are starting here in the tomato patch. As you can see, the rain has been really helpful for all of these beautiful tomatoes. Things are kind of wild. I need to come through here and do some trellising and possibly some pruning. But one of the good things about all the rain is that it has helped the spider mite problem that I have been having. So the rain has been coming through so violently and so fast that it is washing the spider mites off of the leaves of all of the tomatoes. And you can see where we're starting to get healthy new growth on these plants that were so drastically affected. The tomato plants that had the most damage from spider mites were these two evil olive here, and then this roselle here behind this giant tomatillo plant. Now there's also some tomatoes that are ready to be harvested, which is super exciting. So we have a few roselle cherry tomatoes that I need to come harvest, and then we have several evil olives. Now these maintain a mostly green color. Most of the color you will actually see whenever you cut it open. So you just kind of have to come through and feel for the ones that are relatively soft. These do maintain a pretty firm texture, so they're not going to be as soft as, say, like your Roma whenever it's ripe. But the ones that look like this, these are ready here. And then I do have some fruit splitting problems that I need to come through and just harvest all of those off. Like I said, we've gotten so much rain. I think we're up to about 16.5 inches or something in the last 8 days. So it has been an intense amount of rain really quickly. A lot of roads have been closing due to flooding, and like I was saying, we almost need a boat to get through that back part back there. So overall, the tomatoes are doing really beautifully. Washed a lot of those spider mites off, which is great. That's much less damage for me to come through and prune off. Let's take a look at these eggplant really quick. So we have 2 on this plant, and then we have several on this plant. Yeah, that's number 5 right there. So there's 4 here, so 5 total on that plant. And I don't know if any of these stripy ones have any fruit set yet. They were really struggling because of all the spider mites. So I just don't know. There's 3 total of these, and I don't see any fruit set yet, but I do see blooms. So as long as we get some sunshine for a couple of days, maybe I'll start to get some of those variegated eggplant. Listada de Giandia, I think, is the variety name there. Let's move. I have plants stuck. Look, I have plants stuck to my shoes. Okay, so these 2 are cherry tomatoes. As you can see, these were seeds that I took from my pawpaw's last garden, and they're actually like a really large cherry, almost like a salad-sized tomato. And I have a few here that I can come through and harvest. And then I have lots of basil that is all doing really lovely in this bed. This Italian oregano is doing really lovely. Now, one issue that I am having right now is this poor tomatillo right here. You can see it got some like whiplash from torrential winds. It was 76-mile-an-hour winds for one of the storms. So this one kind of took a beating in that, and it just like banged up against this and split. And now, I don't know, I'm hoping that it's going to continue to be okay and pull through. I'm not really sure if it has any tomatillos actually growing on it. Maybe that might be one right there. But this one and this one are the same variety. And then I have one down there, and I don't know if they're too far apart to pollinate each other or what. Optimistically hopeful here. So for this, sorry, I heard like a hissing noise, so I wanted to make sure I wasn't ticking off a slithery friend here. Okay, so over here we have the remainder of the tomatoes, and I have so many fruits. Even though there has been so much rain and it has been really depressing because there hasn't been any sunshine and roads are flooding and all of those things, it has kept the temperatures down, which means that for these tomatoes especially, there is a ton of fruit set, and it's not too hot for those new blooms that are blooming to continue to set more fruit. Like, these are all relatively new. So that's really exciting. Usually by this point it's already too hot, so what you have is all you're gonna get until fall. So I am happy about the extended tomato setting season. Looky there, look at that pretty guy right there. I don't know what kind that is, but I'm happy to see it. I'll have to look on my map and try to remember to put the word up for the variety on the screen, but that sure is a pretty tomato right there. So anyway, yes, I'm happy to see the continued fruit set here. That's really good for my future salsa plans. Overall, this side has been just monstrously prolific. Oh, almost got that spider there. Sorry, buddy. Promise I'm not trying to make you feel threatened in any way. Like, look, here's brand new tomato sets. So yeah, this side has been really great with tomato fruit set, Super Sue, all the way down through that Woolly Kate, just a ton of tomatoes. And then over here, this Roma, there's 2 Roma plants, and tons of tomatoes ripening on the Romas. And then this Marglobe right here is also starting to get some ripe fruit. Let's see if I can situate you guys to see that. So overall, a ton of tomatoes in this bed that are just growing, ripening, setting, and this has been a very prolific bed so far. So this one has this one has all of the super big tomatoes, right? So this one has the Italian heirloom. This guy is pretty big. And then this one is turning into a pretty good sized one. Thorborn's terracotta. I have harvested a few. The Sart Reloy. One of them got very damaged or sick or something, and I actually ended up throwing away a lot of tomatoes because they were blistered. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, so this is one of the Sart Reloy plants right here, and it had several tomatoes on it, but it got just completely hammered with spider mites, which that's one of the weaknesses of the Sart Reloy tomato plant. It got completely hammered by spider mites. So I pruned off a bunch of branches, which then put too much sunlight directly on the tomatoes, so then they all ended up with like sun scald and blistered and stuff. So I got two good tomatoes off of this one. Same thing happened with this one. This is also Sart Reloy. I wasn't sure at first because it looked so much different, but it is. I got one good one off of this one, and then this one that's still growing. So hopefully this one will be okay. It feels a little soft, so maybe it's starting to get ripe. Then we have the Rebel Starfighter Prime. These are looking really cute. I can't wait to see these as they get ripe. So we have more large tomatoes over here on this side. This is the Black from Tula. It is still growing along. A lot of these plants are windblown this way onto here, but I have one more Black from Tula tomato. Maybe it's that one. If you guys can see that. Let me move other plants out of the way. I think that one might be the other one. It hasn't been a very prolific plant. It was sick there for a while, but it does have lots of blooms, so maybe it'll set some more fruits. And then we have Costelluto Genovese. That's these really fluted ones. And I have one more in that middle bed that has several tomatoes on it. Looks like this one has several tomatoes on it as well. I really need to come out here and do some more trellising and kind of, you know, moving the stuff back where it goes. This one is Giant Crimson. So you can see it's got a few that are starting to get ripe. I think I can leave them another day, get some more sunshine and hopefully some more flavor. This one is the Druzhba. Look how big this tomato, just this one is. It is huge. And it's not like a fasciated blossom. It's just one huge round tomato. That's insane to me. And then we still have these other ones here. Giant Syrian right here. And then Japanese Black Truffle right here. Anyway, that is a good look at what's going on in the tomato patch. It looks wild and unruly. However, it is much more green and lush and leafy, and it has far more tomatoes than it typically does this time of year. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really grateful for all the rain that we've gotten, and I'm thankful that the temperatures are not nearly as hot as they usually are by this point of year. So I'm looking at all the rain we got last week as an overall good thing, even though for some people it probably wasn't. But just one last look at the tomato patch before we move on. Okay, so these two raised beds, if you have watched any of the previous update or garden tour videos, you will know that the front plants are all sweet peppers and the back plants are all okra. Everything is really lush and leafy, and all of the stuff that's in the middle are companion plant type things, friends of the vegetables. And then we have cucumbers planted in each bed as well. So as you can see, everything is growing. The okra is really starting to take off, and there are a few okras that have actually set down here. I harvested one whole okra pod the other day. Looks like I need to harvest that guy right there and that one right there. But I don't really expect a whole lot of okra production until it is consistently in the 90s or above. But there are lots of sweet peppers that are growing and doing really well, and they're incredibly healthy. And I'm also gonna stop on this borage for just a minute because it's so lovely. There are very few, I mean, there's not very few, but there's not like a whole lot of true blue flowers. So just look at that borage for just a second, because it is a true blue, and I think it's so darling. So in the sweet peppers, we have habanadas that are growing, and they are the same shape as a regular habanero. They have the flavor profile of a habanero, that nice fruity distinctive flavor, but without the heat. So if you want something to have that hint of habanero flavor but you don't want it to burn your face off, this is a good bet for that. I have lots of sweet bananas in here somewhere, and I have harvested a few times already, and I need to come through again tomorrow morning and harvest some more. I'm going to be pickling all of these. You can see just lots of fantastic looking banana peppers there. And then we have bell peppers. Look how big that guy is. And then we have this cucumber plant. I have it like wrapped up into here because this cucumber is almost ready to harvest, and I didn't want it touching the ground and getting all icky, so I'm kind of trying to protect it a little bit. But we have bell peppers growing on all of the bell pepper plants. Here, there's a little tiny guy, so really exciting. My plan for those is still paprika, and then the radish. The radish is just, I don't know. During the high winds, they got knocked over. Part of one of the plants broke completely off, but as you can see, It's still growing just fine. I plan on harvesting the seeds once it does make all of the seed pods. The reason that I'm letting it bolt this way is for more pest prevention or repellent. From what I was reading, in order for the white icicle radish to reach its full pest repelling capacity, you need to let it go to seed like this. So that's what I'm doing. Plus it gives really cute flowers, and I just saw some bumblebees around it before I panned the camera over here. So I'm feeding pollinators and hopefully repelling some bad bugs. Now, you can see the rain that we got last night because I didn't dump that out. 2.5 inches last night. Dump it into the lake there. I'm really hoping that doesn't become like a mosquito breeding ground. I'm hoping that the sun evaporates that off really quickly because I can only imagine how bad this mosquito season is going to be. We do have one squash plant that I wish I could remember what it was. Black Beauty. Okay, so this is like the typical zucchini type squash. I'm just checking it for squash bug eggs. I've seen stink bugs, but I haven't seen squash bugs. So I'm optimistically hopeful with low expectations here. Looks pretty good so far. And then I have, I think this is the yellow scallop squash right here. The other two, every time they sprouted, the roly-polies ate them, so I'm not even attempting squash in these two right now. More of the same as far as like happy sweet peppers growing. Look at this Lecia, that's beautiful. And then we have what I am hoping is Mulata Isleno, which is like a brown poblano type pepper. They're still growing, they haven't started ripening, so I have no idea. It'll be a beautiful surprise whenever we do figure out what is happening with those. Then we have Violet Sparkle. I'll show you guys what that looks like as it's growing. I've harvested a few and it tastes okay. I think I'm just gonna pickle it with the banana peppers because it's not one that I'm like, okay, I wanna eat this with my meals or whatever. I just think I'm not really a sweet pepper person. I don't know. Well, I like red bell pepper. I don't know. I think I'm overthinking it, y'all. And then this is a purple bell. I'm not 100. This one produced later for me last year. Oh, look, we have one. This is also purple bell. This one's smaller than this one because it was decimated by roly-polies, but it's bouncing back. So that's exciting. And then this purple Ruffles basil that was getting choked out by this nasturtium is finally getting some sunshine as the temperatures do warm up and the nasturtium starts to fizzle out. So my tree stars here. And then here we go. Blue spice basil. Let you guys see those flowers. Note the lavender and the coral color on those flowers. The bees really love this one and it smells like vanilla and basil combined. It's beautiful. So, ooh, you can hear the squish. Okay, sorry. So one last look at these crazy raised beds before we continue on with the weekly update. Okay, so the two volunteer sunflowers are kind of starting to fizzle out at this point. Those high winds kind of bent the stakes or moved the stakes as the ground got really soft and mushy. So they're leaning. That's okay. I plan on cutting them down very soon. I just haven't done it yet. These other sunflowers are starting to grow here. Some of them got knocked over with the high winds, but now they're starting to grow up. So I think that's called heliotropic maybe, where if it leans over, then it still finds a way to point to the sun. I can't remember if that's the word or not that I'm looking for, but that's what's happening. There's more of the lake in the backyard there. The flower bed here, last week's update had a ton more flowers blooming, but Lily and I came through and harvested a bunch of flowers and made a beautiful bouquet. I'll try to put a picture of it in the video here. And then I also came through during a break in the rain and pruned off a bunch of stuff that was starting to, either the blooms were already, you know, on their way out the door, or powdery mildew, like what is happening right here, was really taking over the plant. So there's not as much blooming now as there was, but look at that guy. You guys see the little praying mantis there? My pest prevention. Anyway, but things are starting to bloom again. The powdery mildew is just going to continue to be a problem as long as we continue to just be in this really rainy period. Bumblebee on that blue spice basil. That's a volunteer blue spice basil. So there we go. That's adorable. Happy bee. Sorry, I saw a squirrel and got distracted, or rather I saw a bee and got distracted. The powdery mildew is going to continue to be a problem as long as we are in this incredibly rainy time. You can see where I cut down a ton of zinnias just because they were completely decimated by the powdery mildew. They looked worse than this one. I think I'm gonna have to cut that one down next. So my plan is to hopefully be able to start some more seeds soon with some disease tolerant zinnias, and then some of the Benary's giant zinnias, and plant through this flower bed with some other things that I have on my list, sunflowers and cosmos, and then, you know, kind of cut these old zinnias down to get rid of the powdery mildew, excuse me, get the new ones planted in, and sort of just continue that process that way. And it will help improve the soil too, because we're constantly working it and adding other soil to it and fertilizing and all of those things. But overall, this looks pretty great, you know, considering how much water has come through here. And you can see where it has just like washed out mulch and all of that stuff. But like I said, I'm still grateful for it, because usually by this point we're already entering a drought period. So I'm happy to see it while it's here. We'll start with this green stalk. You can see that the bush beans are producing. I need to come through and harvest. One of the problems that I did notice is because it has been so rainy with such high winds that it is knocking the flowers off before they have a chance to become pollinated, or it's knocking off little baby beans whenever they're just really small and fragile and, you know, not really strong enough to stay attached to the plant on their own. But there are still beans that are growing. Looks like I can come out and harvest a few. I have made a stir fry with what I've harvested so far. So I'm not disappointed by any means, and I'm not gonna be like, oh, you know, I give up or whatever, because I'm still producing. It's just not what I had last year, and that's okay. Every year your garden is going to be completely different than the year before it. So we'll just take it as a learning opportunity and make note of what is doing well and what isn't. And I think the wind knocked down this wild bergamot, so I'm gonna try to stand it up anyway. It's just gonna fall back down. There it goes. Maybe if I stake it somehow, it will be okay. The bottom of this is all cowpeas, and all of the rain has really just made these take off all of a sudden. So I fully expect that maybe this will start blooming soon. We'll see. Really exciting either way. Now, my hair got caught in a tree. Let me back up. You guys know I like to give you the full view of the pepper green stalk there. Okay, so this is doing really well, even considering the fact that this top tier has shifted. It looks like maybe the swelling is starting to condense some, but even considering that this top tier swelled up and caused some things to fall over, this is still doing absolutely wonderfully. We have peppers growing all over. I think I've harvested all the ones off of that one. Leaf cutter bees are coming in and getting what they need to make their homes. We have mushroom peppers down here doing their thing. There's lots of peppers all over. You know, no single plant has like a ton of peppers on it, but if you kind of take in the whole thing together, then there's a lot of peppers growing on here. The marigolds and nasturtiums and basil are also doing a good job at keeping some of the bad bugs away. So far, now it could be because it's been raining non-stop for 40 days and 40 nights. So far, I have not experienced any hornworms within the garden yet. I'm saying so far because I know they're coming. But usually by this point they're already here and causing problems, but I haven't seen them yet. So the companion plants are really doing a good job at slowing down the pest pressure. I'm sure the weather also has a part to play in that, but I'm going to say that companion planting within the green stalk was a good idea so far. We'll see if I change my mind. Okay, strawberries. Some of these are looking really good. Like this one right here looks really cute, and some of these look a little weather worn and defeated, like this one. This one maybe had some spider mite problems by looking at that leaf damage. So I'll keep an eye on these, but that's still gonna stay strawberries. If I have to replace some bare roots, then I will. I'll worry about that next spring. But overall, I'm good with it. I'm happy with where this is at, like on the patio. I'm happy with the growth that I'm seeing. I don't expect any strawberries at all from this this year. This is just me getting them established in the soil in this location so that next year they'll be off and running to the races. Right here is a new container for the lime tree. The lime tree is in the container to keep the wind from knocking it all over the place, even though it does have brakes on it, and the brakes do work really well. I am not transplanting it yet because I have 4 limes that are growing, and I don't, let me turn. I have 4 limes that are growing on this tree, and I don't want to jeopardize their growth, because this is my 3rd year with this tree, and I would really like to harvest at least 1 lime from it. So I'm gonna leave it in this container until I harvest those limes, and then I will transplant it into this one. And then the plan for this one is to put a lemon tree in it, and we'll just repeat the cycle until I have all of the citrus trees that I want. This green stalk, that is the hodgepodge of all of the things that like to grow, is doing really well. These dwarf okras are, you can see they're gonna start blooming soon. The mint is absolutely thrilled with life, and it's growing everywhere. I need to come through and heavily prune it because it's taking over, as mint does. These smaller cucumber varieties are doing really well. I think this one might have a baby cucumber on it. I thought I saw that this morning. Where did I see that? Oh, here we go. Right here. We have a baby cucumber there, so that'll be cool to see a cucumber growing off of a green stalk. And then volunteer sunflower, really lovely. You can see where I pruned one off. Chamomile, I harvested a bunch of the little flowers this morning. It's still really happy, so I'm just gonna let it go until it fizzles out. And then on the other side, the back side has the super hot peppers. See if I can get over there without squishing. Ugh. There's a spider web I just walked through. We might have a Carolina Reaper there. Oh boy, Jake will be happy about that. Aleppo pepper. We might have an Aleppo growing there. And then habanero. Habanero is down there. And then lemon habanero is right here. But everything in this green stalk is doing really, really well. Overall, the garden is doing really, really well. It's a little wild and a little out of control, but I'm really thrilled with how things are looking at this point in the growing season. So as far as some things that I need to do, let me straighten you guys out. As far as some things that I need to do to get this garden back under control, I need to come through with liquid fertilizer, and I know that seems silly after 16 inches of rain, but since well over half of my garden is in containers, all of that rain has probably depleted most of the nutrients out of the soil at this point. So I'm just going to come through with Neptune's Harvest and give everything a good drench with that fertilizer. I'm also going to come through and sprinkle earthworm castings everywhere that I can get to. So in all of the individual pockets of the green stalks, and then through the raised beds, and then along the ground here where I have flowers, and then those containers where the sunflowers are. Other than that, I really need to get those seeds started for the flowers, for the flower bed, and then I need to sit down and find the dates for the fall garden seed starting for like broccoli and cabbage and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and all of those things, because it's gonna creep up on me before I'm ready for it. So I need to get organized for that. But unfortunately, I do have to get back to work. I have a really big project due tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really hope you liked this update video. If you did, please feel free to like and subscribe and do all of those YouTube things. But until next time, go find a way to get those garden manicures. Bye.